Hello and welcome to Motors TV. This weekend, the 2012 World Rally Championship will come to an end after the running of round 13 of the season, Rally Catalunya. Despite Sébastien Loeb clinching the driver's title and his Citroën squad taking the manufacturer's title in France, there's still plenty to race for, because the series is about to head into the off-season transfer period, and this is also a final chance for Loeb's rivals to try and beat the master before he limits his programme next season. Last year, Rally Catalunya was the penultimate round on the calendar, and before the opening stage, there were three drivers still in the title fight, with Loeb and Mikko Hirvonen tied for the lead, and Sébastien Ogier third overall, just 3 points behind. Rally Catalunya is a unique round in that day 1 is run on dirt, and days 2 and 3 are run on tarmac. The route is similar to that of last year, with 18 stages totalling a touch more than 400 competitive kilometres, with just 2 never-before-run stages. Salo will once again serve as Rally HQ. Ken Block isn't entered, and we'll have to see if Peter Solberg will have yet another trying weekend, or whether he'll save his season and then find a ride in order to continue his career in the WRC. For sure, the massive crowds will throw all their support behind native son Dani Sordo, even though, as we saw in France, the Spaniard will not have the luxury of a competitive Mini to do his bidding. The ProDrive team has said it will continue the development work on the countryman, but there won't be any new modifications in Spain for either Sordo or his Finnish teammate Jarkko Nikara, who makes his debut in a WRC entry. This year the rally will begin with an all-new special, the 7-kilometre-long Gandesa stage, before heading towards Pesses, which was the opening stage in 2011 and was the scene of quite a few early rally dramas. The tension was palpable at the start of stage 1, tied in points but with the advantage of more victories. Sébastien Loeb and co-driver Dani Elena were once again first in the stage and had to sweep the road. They expected to lose quite a bit of time. After their retirement in France due to a blown engine, they had little choice but to give it their all and limit the damage on day 1 before coming back on the next 2 days on the asphalt. That was the scenario that most imagined.
Mètres, cochon 30 millions pas corde. Sur droite, frein pas corde pour gauche 100 millions. Sur droite à fond. Et gauche à fond. Sur droite 156. Ferme 130 plus long tard sur frein pour 50 mètres. Gauche 5 plus millions. Et droite à fond.
They went to attack mode in the very first metres and were aided by lingering dust. The 3-minute start interval wasn't enough for the others to have clear vision. Hirvonen was next in the stage and was just happy to still be in contention after his first offline excursion. The Finn dropped 15.4 seconds on stage 1. Third in the stage, Sébastien Ogier drove a clean stage, but all the same, lost 18 seconds. This year, it'll be interesting to see which positions the teams choose after the qualifying stage. For Peter Solberg and Chris Patterson, Rally Catalunya was over just after it began. Contact with a rock tore off a wheel on the Privateer DS3 in stage 1. The Norwegian, who was running his own team in 2011, decided to call it a day and save his car for the season finale, Rally GB. A wise decision, considering he had little to gain in contrast to this year, where he could finish third in the drivers' standings. Yet another disappointment for the 2003 world champion. Ken Block's rally was also cut short by contact with a rock, and a bit later a rock spoiled Ott Tanak's chances. Last year the young Estonian was in the fight for the WRC world title, but that honour eventually went to his rival Juho Hanninen, who set a blistering 6th best time on this stage.
Right to flush, don't cut, narrow, repeat it.
We heard the co-driver twice tell Ken Block not to cut the corner that he himself noticed during their reconnaissance run. At the end of the opening stage, Loeb led the way from Jari-Matti Latvala, while both Hirvonen and Ogier were more than 15 seconds behind. Chris Meek's wager of deliberately taking a 10-second penalty for starting 1 minute late paid off, as he was 5th overall, ahead of teammate Dani Sordo. We're now with Meek on special stage 3. After his accident at the previous round in France, he decided to be careful in Catalonia, but had less knowledge of the route than his rivals. His objective was just to make it to the end. After stage 3, he was 6th overall, but it wasn't good news for the Irishman, who now had dust invading the interior of his Mini. For Kimi Räikkönen, a fuel leak brought his rally to an end. During this time, no one doubted he could return to Formula 1 and perhaps score his 19th win, which he did last week in Abu Dhabi. After the first loop, Loeb managed to hold on to his lead, but is now just 5.3 seconds over Latvala and 11.9 seconds from Ogier, who set 2 best times along the way. However, Hirvonen couldn't match the pace of the leaders and continued to drop time. We'll end day 1 with a clip, and Sebastian Loeb made great use of his starting position to build his early lead. The lingering dust considerably handicapped his pursuers. Dani Sordo was not a happy lad at all after losing more than 40 seconds and any chance of a top result on this, his national rally. Hirvonen had a scare, and for once Loeb's starting position wasn't a handicap. Having a good time with the fans during the autograph session, Ken Block and Peter Solberg were not enjoying their respective weekends in Catalonia nearly as much after they were caught out by the same stone in the opening stage. Jari-Matti Latvala was doing far better. After limiting the damage in the morning, he went on the attack in the afternoon and moved into the lead on stage 4. He had Sébastien Ogier right behind him, but the Frenchman was forced to stop and change a tyre during SS5 and dropped down the order to 5th place. The last stage of day 1, which was run at night, the dust was back. Latvala spun, then suffered a puncture, losing 46 seconds, and was now in 2nd position, 30.6 seconds adrift of the leader Loeb, who was very pleased to be in the lead at the end of day 1. It was then time for the mechanics to get to work. During the end of day service, the teams have 1 hour and 15 minutes to install the tarmac setup to the cars, and it will be the same for this year's Rally Catalunya. Week 2 of Rally Catalunya 2011 consisted of 6 asphalt stages, beginning with the challenging 46-kilometre El Priorat test. With a strong 30-second advantage, it was hard to imagine Latvala catching up to the rally leader Loeb on his favourite surface, despite the fact that on the previous 2 tarmac rounds, Loeb fell victim to a puncture in Germany and suffered a rare blown engine in France. In its return to the WRC last year, Michelin wasn't expecting to be the lone tyre supplier. The engineers concentrated more on performance than reliability. They did make progress with their gravel rubber at round 4 in Jordan, but were denied permission to develop their slick tyres. This was a worry for all the competitors, especially Loeb and Elena, who were more worried about an eventual puncture than any threat coming from any of their rivals. Yet Jari-Matti Latvala and Mika Anttila were on form early on. 2 second-best times right behind Loeb. Then the best time on the final test of the opening loop kept them in the hunt for the win. However, it was far more laborious for Mikko Hirvonen and Jarmo Lehtinen. They continued to lose time to the leaders while not knowing why. Thanks to the onboard camera, we can see that the red rev light doesn't light up very much. Later on, the Finn finally realised that you have to run much higher in the rev band with the new generation car. For Sébastien Ogier, the rally turned sour. After a first puncture the day before, he suffered another and had to stop to change the tyre. His hope of winning the title was beginning to diminish. He was now 5th overall, behind his illustrious teammate Loeb.
Sur gauche en à fond, 50 mètres, gauche en plus Milan. Gauche en plus Milan, ferme léger de cap.
Ah, yeah?
Ouais.
Seventh place, Mads Østberg began to suffer from overheating brakes after experiencing a problem with the differential in his car. He'll be another driver to keep a close eye on this weekend, as he's in the fight for 3rd place in the championship. Henning Solberg was 8th ahead of Evgeny Novikov, who stepped out of his usual ride, the Fiesta, to test the DS3, but suffered with steering issues in the Citroën. The Russian driver, who finished 2nd on Rally Italy, has struggled to finance the end of his 2012 season. In Catalunya, he will drive the Autotech Ford, shod with DMAC tyres.
Open in, caution right 1 half short. Open in, caution right 1 half short. Left 2 half late. Left 2 half late. Right 1 in. 1 in, brake, caution, left 1 half. 1 in, brake, caution, left 1 half. Right 1 half short. No exit, tighten 2 half long. Late 2 half late, in. 14. Straight, left 3.
Loeb held on to his 30-second lead from Latvala, while Hirvonen was up to 3rd. Sordo was 4th, ahead of Ogier, who overtook Meek for 5th place. During the second run in the afternoon, Latvala continued his strong form, setting 2 scratch times. With the confirmation of his move to Volkswagen for 2013, the Finn has stated how much of a dream it is of his to win on merit ahead of Loeb. To do this, he'll try to build a lead on the gravel day, then fend off an eventual return of the 9-time world champion.
20. Oikein yksi nyppyn, nyppyvasen yksi pitkä kirra, nyppyvasen 4, pidä. Heti oikein 3, pirun pitkä oli nypyn, jarru. Heti vasen 6. 60. Oikein 5. 10. Oikein 2, 50.
After his strong run in 2011, he's fixed some pretty ambitious goals for himself.
Jari ended day 2 in Spain and still 2nd place overall, but what a day.